Hello there and welcome back to the channel. Now let's talk about something we all use, probably more than we'd care to admit. Social media, it's a bit like a public swimming pool, isn't it? On a good day, it's a refreshing way to connect with friends. On a bad day, you're pretty sure that's not a baby Ruth floating in the deep end and you're starting to question all your life choices. Social media is everywhere, but have you ever stopped to think about the dangers lurking behind your screen? Past the cat videos, the engagement announcements, and the inexplicably popular videos of people just whispering into microphones. Because behind that glossy veneer of curated happiness lies a landscape fraught with some truly concerning risks. Tonight, we're going to take a deep dive into that murky water. We'll be exploring the darker side of our digital lives, a side that platform creators are often, shall we say, less than enthusiastic to advertise. Think of this video as your digital hazmat suit. We're going to wade through the toxic sludge together, examining everything from how your vacation photos can turn into a stalker's itinerary, to the alarming trend of people achieving worldwide fame for, and I say this with all the kindness I can muster, being monumentally stupid. We'll look at how these platforms can be weaponized for harassment, spread lies faster than a sneeze in a crowded elevator, and even encourage behavior that is frankly sociopathic. So grab your popcorn, or perhaps an antacid, which might be more appropriate, because we are about to pull back the curtain on the things you really need to know. We'll be covering the most concerning risks, the ones that transform our beloved pocket-sized dopamine dispensers into potential engines of personal and societal chaos. It's not all doom and gloom, but it's vital to know what you're signing up for every time you scroll. So let's get into it, shall we? This is the dark side of social media. Let's start with a classic, a real vintage horror that's been given a terrifyingly modern upgrade: stalking. Before the internet, if someone wanted to stalk you, they had to put in some real effort. They needed a trench coat, a pair of binoculars, and the patience of a saint with a questionable hobby. Now, all they need is your Instagram handle. We meticulously document our lives, broadcasting our every move for likes. That coffee shop you love? Tagged? That vacation to Bali? Your entire itinerary is up in your stories, complete with geotags. You might as well be handing out a personalized Come Find Me brochure, complete with high-resolution photos and a list of your daily habits. It's all there, a beautifully curated buffet of your personal life, served up for anyone with a passing interest and a bit of free time. And the platforms themselves practically beg you to overshare. Add your location, they chirp. Who are you with, they inquire. They've gamified self-surveillance. Each post, each check-in is a breadcrumb. And while you think you're just sharing a cute brunch photo with your friends, you're also telling a complete stranger where you are, who you're with, and that you're not at home. It's the digital equivalent of leaving your front door wide open with a sign that says, "Gone for the weekend, valuables are in the top drawer, please water the plants." We've made it so incredibly easy for people with malicious intent to track our every move, turning our digital footprint into a stalker's roadmap. Next up is a phenomenon that makes high school bullying look like a gentle debate club online harassment. Social media has provided an incredible platform for people to connect, but it has also provided a megaphone for the absolute worst of humanity. It allows for the assembly of digital mobs who can descend upon a target with a ferocity that is genuinely chilling. One poorly phrased tweet, one out-of-context video clip, one opinion that goes against the grain, and suddenly you can have thousands of people in your mentions calling for your job, your reputation, and sometimes much worse. The anonymity of the screen emboldens people to say things they would never ever dare say to another human being's face. And this isn't just a few mean comments. We're talking about targeted harassment campaigns, coordinated efforts to silence, intimidate, and ruin someone's life. These can last for days, weeks, or even years. A relentless fire hose of hatred aimed directly at one person. And the platforms? Their response is often akin to a firefighter showing up to a 5-alarm blaze with a water pistol and a sad look on their face. They are fundamentally ill-equipped, or perhaps unwilling, to handle the sheer scale of the abuse they facilitate. For the victim, it's a waking nightmare, an inescapable assault that follows them everywhere, turning their digital life into a constant state of siege. If harassment is the mob outside your door, doxing is when they kick the door down and start auctioning off your furniture. For those blissfully unaware, doxing is the act of broadcasting someone's private, identifying information online. We're talking home addresses, phone numbers, workplace details, names of family members, the keys to your physical life, dumped into the public square for all to see. It's the ultimate violation of privacy, a malicious act designed to take online conflict and make it terrifyingly real. Suddenly, the anonymous trolls aren't just pixels on a screen. They know where you live. They know where your children go to school. This is often used as a weapon of intimidation, a way to terrorize people into silence. Journalists, activists, or even just regular people who annoyed the wrong online subculture can find their entire lives exposed. And the consequences can be catastrophic. It can lead to job loss, real-world stalking, swatting, which is tricking police into raiding someone's home, and unimaginable psychological distress. You've spent your life building a private sanctuary, and in a single moment, a stranger with a grudge can tear down the walls and invite the entire internet inside. It's a stark reminder that the line between our online and offline lives is terrifyingly thin and easily erased. Alright, let's shift gears from the actively malicious to the insidiously mundane, the rise of mindless content. I'm talking about the endless, algorithmically curated feed of pure, unadulterated nothingness. Specifically, let's look at the stranger corners of ASMR. Now, some ASMR is fine, it helps people relax, but there's a whole universe of content that is just bizarre. People tapping on a microphone for 3 hours, someone slowly eating a pickle, a person pretending to be a robot giving you a checkup. It's an endless stream of stimuli designed to hold your attention without ever once engaging your brain. It is the television static of the 21st century. This isn't just about wasting time, though it is spectacularly good at that. It's about what it does to our capacity for critical thought. When you spend hours passively consuming content that requires zero intellectual engagement, it's like putting your brain on a diet of cotton candy. It's sweet, it's easy, but there is absolutely no nutritional value. Your critical thinking muscles begin to atrophy. You become accustomed to being entertained without being challenged. This endless scroll of uncritical, low-effort content dulls our senses and makes us more susceptible to the more dangerous things we'll discuss later, like misinformation, because we've been trained to just accept what's put in front of us without question. Which brings us neatly to our next point, giving stupid people a platform. In the past, if you had a truly terrible idea, say that the Earth is flat or that birds are government drones, your reach was mercifully limited. You could stand on a soapbox in the park and people would, for the most part, walk by, maybe throwing you a pitying glance. But social media has changed the game. It has handed a global megaphone to anyone and everyone, regardless of their expertise, their credibility, or their grasp on basic reality. Suddenly, the village idiot isn't just shouting at pigeons, he's got a podcast with 2 million subscribers. This isn't an attack on free speech. It's an observation on the consequence of curation free for all. These platforms, in their relentless pursuit of engagement, don't distinguish between a well-researched argument and a deranged conspiracy theory screeched from a basement. An algorithm sees that a post is getting a lot of clicks and comments, often because it's so outrageously wrong, and it pushes it to more and more people. It amplifies the most inflammatory, the most controversial, and often the most idiotic voices because they generate traffic. The result is a public discourse that is increasingly polluted by people who, in a healthier society, would be politely ignored. And what happens when you give stupid people a platform? Well, sometimes you make them famous. This is a truly baffling phenomenon of the modern age, the celebration of ignorance. We now have an entire cottage industry dedicated to making people viral stars for doing things that are dangerous, pointless, or just profoundly dumb. Think of the challenges that have sent people to the emergency room, from eating laundry detergent pods to the milk crate challenge, which seems specifically designed by orthopedic surgeons to drum up business. These aren't just isolated incidents, they are cultural moments, propelled by millions of views and shares. The people behind these trends are rewarded with fame, sponsorships, and influence. They become creators, role models to a generation of young, impressionable users who see this behavior and think, that's how you get famous. It creates a perverse incentive structure where the most reckless and least thoughtful behavior is rewarded with the most attention. We are actively celebrating and monetizing a lack of common sense. It's one thing for a fool to exist, it's another thing entirely for society to hand them a golden scepter and a lucrative energy drink sponsorship for being a fool on camera. If you give a platform to ignorant people who become famous for being ignorant, it should come as no surprise that these platforms are also incredibly effective at spreading false information. In fact, they might be the most efficient lie delivery systems ever invented by humankind. A lie, especially a juicy, sensational one, can travel around the world before the truth has even had a chance to find its pants. Studies have shown that false news on platforms like X spreads significantly faster, deeper, and more broadly than the truth, because it's often more novel and emotionally charged. People are more likely to share something that confirms their biases or stokes their outrage, regardless of its accuracy. This has real, tangible, and devastating consequences. We've seen it with medical misinformation during a pandemic, leading to preventable deaths. We've seen it with political disinformation that has polarized societies and incited violence. We've seen it with financial scams that have bilked people out of their life savings. These aren't just harmless rumors. They are targeted campaigns and viral falsehoods that erode trust in institutions, in science, and in each other. The platform's fact-checking efforts are often a pathetic joke, like trying to put out a forest fire with a spray bottle. They've built the fire engine, but they've filled the tank with gasoline. Finally, we arrive at what might be the most soul-crushing side effect of our social media obsession, the impulse to record rather than to help. There is a deeply troubling trend of people witnessing emergencies, car accidents, medical crises, public assaults, and their first instinct is not to call for help, not to intervene, not to offer aid, but to pull out their phone and start filming. The desire to capture a viral moment has seemingly overridden one of the most basic human instincts to help someone in distress. The person bleeding on the sidewalk becomes content. The house on fire becomes a backdrop for a TikTok. This is a profound societal sickness. It turns tragedy into a spectacle and fellow human beings into props for our social media feeds. It speaks to a detachment from reality, a world in which the digital representation of an event becomes more important than the event itself. What does it say about us when our immediate reaction to another person's suffering is to think about the likes and shares we could get? It's a moral corrosion, encouraged by platforms that reward the most shocking and dramatic content. We are training ourselves to be passive observers in the theater of real-life tragedy, holding a camera instead of a helping hand. And that is a truly dark place to be. So, there you have it. A whirlwind tour through the digital sewers. From stalking and harassment to the celebration of stupidity and the horrifying impulse to film tragedies instead of helping, it's clear that our favorite apps have a dark underbelly. The architecture of these platforms, built to maximize engagement at all costs, often inadvertently, and sometimes very advertently, encourages the worst of our human impulses. It's a system that prioritizes clicks over compassion, virality over veracity, and spectacle over safety. And we are all willing participants in this grand, chaotic experiment. But the point of this isn't to make you delete all your accounts and go live in a cave, though the peace and quiet does sound appealing some days. The point is awareness. Social media can be a powerful tool for connection, for activism, for learning, and for watching videos of raccoons stealing donuts, which is a legitimate art form. But it's crucial to stay aware of its darker side. We need to be more critical consumers of content, more responsible posters of our own lives, and more compassionate human beings, both online and off. We have to demand more from these billion-dollar companies, but we also have to demand more from ourselves. Ultimately, the power is still in your hands, quite literally. So before you post, before you share, before you scroll for another hour, just take a moment. Think about the information you're sharing, the content you're consuming, and the culture you're contributing to. Stay safe, stay smart, and think before you post. Because the digital world we create is the one we all have to live in. Thanks for watching.